Welcome to the Nilvah Nexus. James, I'm James, and this is my idol smasher. It's a 7-iron. James the Idol Smasher at gmail.com. Join us on Facebook and Google+. Weekly Thursday night hangout. Happy Hanukkah in the world. And Shabbat Shalom as well. Doc getting him shot of rum. Chocolate rum. I'm drinking a kosher brew. It is Samuel Adams Boston Lager. Fantastic product. They say it is kosher. If you're ever looking for a kosher beer, yeah. Anyway. What's happening in the world? Net neutrality was quashed today. There's still a chance that Congress could come back and force the repeal of net neutrality or put it on hold or suspend it, but I seriously doubt that Congress is going to do that. We'll see how that plays out. I noticed we've had airstrikes over there in Yav's end of the world. A friend of mine posts video from there, and you can see rockets being fired off, I guess from Gaza is what I'm assuming, and then you know, blown up in the sky with it being shot down. Or maybe it was the missiles I was seeing take off. I couldn't tell. It was very dark. And on the screen where everything is, you know, that, you know, and this. But yeah, wow. I guess that's nothing new, but it's just silly that it's silly. The whole thing is silly. It's not funny. It's silly. It's beyond silly. What else is going on in the world today? Not a whole heck of a lot. More controversies being uncovered in our local government here in Oklahoma. Department of Health lost $30 million. Well, they didn't lose it. They misappropriated $30 million. And so the auditor got up and spoke today, and that was a lot of fun to listen to the state auditor. You know, and what he has to say about this department losing $30 million. Department of Human Services, yeah, they have more kids on the books than they can handle. Literally, they have more kids in foster care and whatnot than they can handle. We got things going on about the Russia-Trump thing, which is going to be a big nothing burger. And it is Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights. Gav says a lot of beers are kosher. There's too many over here that carry the label. Like most domestic beers, for instance, I've never seen a kosher label on a Miller Lite or a Bud. But that's good. Beers are kosher. That's a good thing. I was thinking about one day if I might be able to move to Israel. First thing I had to know. Okay, you guys have cold beer, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We only have 2 domestic brands, but okay.
What's better?
Gold Star and Maccabi is basically just piss water. So.
Get your Jewish version of the redneck beer. And what was the other one?
Gold Star.
Gold Star.
Yeah, I've had it. I love it.
You had a Gold Star?
I've had one. Yeah, I love it.
You can get them in New York and New Jersey. There are some import stores that carry it.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I've searched the internet diligently for quite a while looking for where Gold Star could be bought here in the United States, and I come up 0 every time. So I'm not driving to Jersey to get one, though.
You could probably have it ordered.
Good idea. Let's see what yeah, but there's a malt that gold something. I don't know what it is. Comes in a dark bottle. Malt. I went into a Jewish establishment once and I said, "Hey, you got Gold Star?" He said, "I got gold something." You know what I'm talking about? Have you ever It's a sweet malt type thing.
No, I can't say that I do.
I'll never buy that again.
What was it? It was Meister Brau. It was a beer in Texas. It was like $7 a case for a reason. It worked, but you wouldn't enjoy it. The beer worked, but yeah, you got to be young and desperate.
It's what we used to call near beer.
Near beer? Meister Brau. I want to thank you, Gav, for the Soviets. There's a documentary you can watch on YouTube. It's about 1 hour and 53 minutes. It's rough. I'll be honest with you. There are times I just kind of had to listen to it. It's rough, man. It's a history documentary of the Soviet Union.
It's very rough, and it's a comprehensive overview. Believe me, there are a lot of things that could go into more detail that they don't.
A lot of this we wouldn't have gotten in the 90s. We didn't know half the stuff the Soviets were doing.
No, I mean, a lot of the people, I mean, the average American isn't aware of it, for sure. I mean, it's not that because the information isn't out of there, it's just that the average Westerner is intellectually lazy and doesn't read. It's a reality. It's very much a reality. My father lived through that stuff. In fact, one of the labor camps they talk about towards the end of that documentary was actually where he was locked up.
Ooh. Shalom, Bob.
Hello there.
Shabbat shalom.
Hello, Bob.
Hey, Russ.
We're talking about a documentary film. I think I posted it on my Facebook page. It was called The Soviets. And a look at some of the stuff that went down over there, and it was heavy. You know what else is heavy? We never. It's called The Soviet Story. That's right. Thank you. The Soviet Story. American, okay. Go ahead, Gav.
No, I just wanted to say you can watch it for free on YouTube. It won't cost you a thing.
I want to hear you gripe about America. You can't gripe about America.
I read a little blurb somewhere. I'm not sure where I came across it, but it was saying that Putin made a surprise visit to the troops in Syria and announced partial pullout. You saw that too?
Yes, I did. Congratulated. He's got like a small regiment left or something like that, or there's just a little bit left, and
they're quote unquote advising the regime. Yeah.
Let's see how long it lasts.
Russia has been involved with Syria for a long time, a long time. 60s.
They have a major naval base right off the coast of Syria.
Yep, Latakia.
We do?
No, the Russians do. They have a naval base.
Oh, the Russians do.
Yeah.
We'll see. Let's hope we can hope for the best, right?
I mean, Syria really only exists on a map. It's kind of a defunct state right now.
What the pictures are showing over here.
I can assure you it's a lot worse.
Yeah, it's so big Hollywood couldn't make it look.
No, I mean right now there's in Damascus, the capital city. There's about 400,000 people who are starving. There's no food getting in because of the fighting is interrupted. Food deliveries stop. Your average truck driver is not going to deliver produce, under fire. So there's no food getting into the city, so people are starting to starve.
I've often wondered about Syria, how they managed to even stay afloat, because it's one of the few Arab nations that I'm aware of that don't export any oil whatsoever.
They have oil. They have some oil. It's not like the rest of the Middle East. They have some, but they stay afloat because of mainly two factors: Russia and Iran.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for massive Russian intervention, I think the regime would have collapsed by now.
A long time ago. It doesn't make sense that it's even a country, like you said. It really exists only on the map.
Right. I mean, its army is mostly gone. It's a mess.
Pretty much the same for Lebanon. If it wasn't for terrorist groups, Lebanon really nothing there to speak of.
Right. Used to be a nice country at one point.
Yeah, it did.
In fact, Beirut, the capital city, used to be called the Paris of the Middle East. And that ended in about 1975 when the civil war started. Lebanon had a civil war a lot longer than Syria's. Their civil war, it lasted from, I want to say, like 1975 till, I want to say, like the mid-90s. Syria didn't leave until 2005.
Every Sunday, they prayed for the hostages in Lebanon, in the church I grew up in. It was every day. That was one of the things they prayed for. And it was just in passing. It was part of the rhetoric. But I don't remember a time in church where they weren't praying for the hostages still held in Lebanon. Mm-hmm. I grew up with that.
Yep. In Lebanon. Well, I mean, we were there in Lebanon for 18 years. We had an occupation of South Lebanon. We were there from 1982 until May of 2000. We finally pulled out. It was like our Vietnam, basically.
Ooh. Here's to peace. Something that's heavy. That's right. I was talking about a heavy documentary, a heavy subject, the Soviet Union. I wasn't expecting heavy. As an American, especially one who grew up in the South, West, I guess, whatever, Texas and whatnot, I grew up on hash browns. Loved hash browns, all right? So I've been doing this no-hide thing for a while. And I see these videos of latkes and people making latkes. And I'm like, oh, they're hash browns. Really serious in the Torah, start looking into recipes and look at all the general recipes. And it's like a hash brown, it's like a potato cake. Yeah, when you're leftover mashed potatoes, your mom puts them on the frying pan. And that's the new form of potato for the night, right? Never a big fan. This is easy. So I make this big meal, and I figured one of the sides would be latkes. I was going to make, my first latkes this year. There's another thing about Hanukkah I'm surprised about is how excited my girls were that we're lighting candles. She remembers from last year, the year before, I guess. It's always been around, but this year she was really excited. I was really surprised. It was first night of Hanukkah. I get out, I'm doing the potatoes, and I got a couple of eggs and onions and salt, pepper, and what else? And I made just what I thought was a small batch. One tater, one onion, one egg, half 3/4 cup of flour, whatever. They're heavy. Those are not hash browns. If you're non-Jewish out there and you're going to make some of these latkes, these are not hash browns. This is a meal. These are meals. This was not a potato cake. It was something totally different. It was something totally different. Delicious. Not fond of the applesauce. We do, or the Jewish people do the sour cream and then applesauce. Wasn't a fan of the applesauce, but good dollop of sour cream on top. And they are a meal. You wouldn't need to cook anything else. 2 or 3 of those, and you'd be good for the night. Oh, and fry them in lots of olive oil. Cajun seasoning and barbecue sauce. Do some Tabasco in them. The barbecue sauce, yeah, okay, you're weird. Maybe, yeah, okay. Yeah, Tabasco. I could have Tabascoed them up.
I would be interested in trying them with a little dash of za'atar.
Oh yeah, that's good too. Za'atar is good. People smear hummus on them. My wife does anyway.
I've got a homemade batch of za'atar that I've got, a little recipe I made. I'm eating it on just about everything I can now. I sprinkle it on my fried eggs in the morning.
Oh, it's great on eggs. That's mostly what I put it on. It's actually pretty good on pizza, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Instead of like pepper flakes, I put it, on pasta, spaghetti. You put it on there as well.
I'm liking it on a lot of dishes.
The seasoning?
Yeah, za'atar. It's seasoning that I think it comes originally from Yemen. Jews brought it here from Yemen, but it has some kick. It's supposed to have a little bit of kick to it, but it's a good seasoning. Great on steak.
I'll have to write that down. You say it's great on steak. Okay, all right, now I got to try it. Cow. I do enjoy cow. Baruch Hashem for the cow. Well, it's Hanukkah, y'all. Why would a non-Jew like the Hanukkah menorah? I can give one solid answer to anybody who answers that question. That's out of experience, because for 5 years now, I've lit Hanukkah menorah. I'm just going to say this. I think personally, it's psychological for people in the North American or the northern continent. It's psychologically healthy. I think it's good for the brain. We're going to take all the. There's a history to it. Witnessed by everybody. That's been remembered for centuries. I want to put that aside for a second, except for one thing: illuminating the darkness. There is a disorder that people go through, cabin fever in the wintertime. There's less heat, there's less sunlight. The critters aren't nearly as active if you can see them at all. Everything looks dead and dying, and it's cold, and we're inside. And I really have to admit there is something very healthy about a steady stream of light every night for 8 days that gets brighter. If you got like 2 or 3 menorahs in your house, that's a power. That's how you measure, a light by its candle power. There's a word for it. Yeah, you get a few menorahs in a room on day 7 or 8. Wow, whoa! I think it's good for the soul. I think it's psychologically good for us. I like to sit around and watch them burn. Even my 2-year-old is just stomps her feet and squeals that we're lighting the menorah. I don't know what I'm supposed to say or anything. I'm not Jewish, but yeah, I'm going to light a candle to their victory. And yeah, there is a balance to the other holidays that might be going on at this time. I'm not going to deny that, but what an addition to anybody's life. This practice in the darkest part, the coldest, less and less light every day, and it's a practice, and it's a wise practice, but it's historical. But I think that functionally, it's good for the soul. Illuminate the darkness that much more. If you're Jewish, you put it in the window or you put it in your door, so the world becomes enlightened. And I always like the idea of a little Jewish village at night from a distance, you'll see this light kindle, and then every night that light gets brighter and brighter and brighter in everybody's house. And just what a sight, you know, or even Jerusalem from the air, you know, looking down at just this growing light every night. I personally think it's healthy. I'm not going to tell anybody to just go light a menorah. I don't think anybody's prohibited from not lighting one, but it is a holiday in Judaism. But I think that it's good for you. I think this is good to do it. And of course, I remember why. I tell my girls why, and you know, for 8 days. And like I said, I don't know the proper blessings. I know I've got a Siddur. I could go online. There are videos, and I don't want to. You know, I'm not yet. I'm going to have to get into that with her, I guess, later on. But I light it, and it's awesome, and it's something. It's a great thing to look forward to, and you know, 8 crazy nights. It's great. It's good stuff. So I'll tell you next week on how the donuts turn out. Make jelly-filled pastry. They're basically jelly-filled donuts. Fried in olive oil. Why olive? Because olive oil was that's the oil you use to light the menorah. The menorah. There's a word for it. Described to Moses by God how to make, you know, the six branches and the one in the center. That's the menorah in Torah. It's olive oil. We only had enough for a day. It lasted 8. It was a miracle. Everybody saw it. We remember it. And so everything you eat at Hanukkah is supposed to be lots of olive oil. Main window facing the street. That's where Israel puts her menorah. And we all know there's a picture that's been going around. You know, thank God for social media. Thank God for the internet. There's a picture going around, and I see my Christian friends on Facebook beginning to post it this year. And that's an iconic picture of a menorah in a window. Outside of the window across the street, you can see a banner with the swastika. It was in Nazi Germany. The purpose of lighting it is to enlighten the darkness, to illuminate the darkness. And what a mouse to a lion in many ways, you know. Little did we know the menorah lighter is the lion, but at the time, you know, didn't stop anybody. It didn't stop anybody. And now it's a custom for people all over this country, secular, religious, and otherwise, to illuminate the darkness at night. Christmas has become a festival of lights. We went to the Chickasha. It was the Chickashays, right? Chickasha, Oklahoma. They do a festival of lights, this year it was silver and white or silver and blue blinking stars with festival of lights on it when you go. And you know, when you go in, they have a Happy Hanukkah little display as well. But I just thought that was neat. You know, white and silver, white and you know, festival of lights, and it was just a great. And really in America anyway. I'm not sure. Christmas here has become a festival of lights in many, many, many ways. And people that aren't religious will put lights up and stuff. It's healthy. Not really. Not the 8 days of lights. That is such a, and it really makes your winter much happier, in my opinion. And that's all I had to say about that. Gab's talking about the picture of the menorah. I'm not the only thing I had to say. Gab was saying it's a very real picture. Very real. You mean it's like it's not Photoshop? Is that what you mean?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, this is 30s Germany. A Hanukkah thing they've been thinking about this year. What was your? Mine, I went totally secular in doing it. That's, you know, that was my thing. Is like, this is just so healthy. It's so healthy to do this. And next year you're going to get another menorah. You know, so there's going to be even more light. Anybody else got a Hanukkah story on their mind or anything they want to talk about when it comes to? All right then.
Really quick, Hispanic cultures, they have their version of the festival of lights. It's called luminarias. You just check it out sometime. I'm not going to go into any detail.
Mexican?
I wouldn't say just purely Mexican. I would say Hispanic. I mean,
Okay.
you'll find it across Spanish, Mexican, but Hispanic cultures, luminarias.
Looks like a copycat, doesn't it? Copycat. It looks copycat. I don't know if it's copycat or not, but
On another level, I would say it may be, or it potentially could be, remnants of the original. I mean, dispersion, moved out, exile, and people just take a form or a shape of the original and do something with it to commemorate. It turns into something else, but I think it's some in some fashion it's a way to commemorate the original.
Gav, what would be no? I didn't see you muted, so I thought I want to interrupt you. How do we make sure we celebrate it for the right reasons? Gav.
Well, also we have there's a concept of the mitzvah of lighting the menorah candles. It's a rabbinic mitzvah, but it's a very real mitzvah. And then there is the desire to publicize the miracle. So the from what I understand, the mitzvah is done at home with the lighting of the candle at home. But if anything else, like people are at shul and they light the synagogue, they light the candles, or they're at a public display and they light the candles. That is a public publicizing the miracle, and that's a proper thing that Noahides can do also. We just don't have the mitzvah now. We can still light at home also, but when we're lighting at home, we're doing it under the context of publicizing the miracle. Whether we're doing it for our family or if we're doing for neighbors, however we're doing it. We're not doing it as a mitzvah, but we're doing it as the publicizing of the miracle.
Our Kabbat house puts one downtown in Oklahoma City. They have one outside. They have one that's their sign. It's like Kabbat house. It's like the brick, But then there's the eight lamps. Town. I think it's a gas light that they light. Smack dab in the middle of big town. Oh, that's doing it publicly though. That's the mitzvah. That's right there. The mitzvah, yeah. Is that what you mean by the right reasons, Gav? Oh, here we go. Creating the wrong miracle. They make it all out about the oil, and that's a mistake. Not the miracle of the oil, but I always it was a victory. I thought it was like kind of a victory light. Yeah, it was the Syrian Greeks, wasn't it? Finally fought back and got their temple. And the miracle was, I thought, was God celebrating with Israel on that note. And I'm getting close. Ooh, I'm getting close. And of course, illuminating the darkness. Message I got out of it. Who was it then? Okay. I don't think that's in my Hanukkah videos. It wasn't against. This is what Gav is posting over here. It was not a victory against the Syrian Greeks, but against their Jewish supporters. Commemorating the destruction and defeat of eternal enemies more than it was against Gentile enemies. Whoa! I was not aware of this. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. So it's like Rome. That same thing happened in Rome. Where you basically had, the Sanhedrin and the Cohen on the Roman payroll, if you will. The first person Judah Maccabee killed in the war was another Jew who made sacrifices to pagan gods. Whoa! And he did it publicly? Oh, good grief. In the closet. So these were Jews who went off the derrick, I guess, huh? Wow. I never knew of the internal struggle. That's new to me. I'm going to have to chew on that. I don't even know if I can talk about anything else now. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Good night. Oh, I've heard. Okay. I didn't know. Okay. Gav says over here, Greeks were in charge, but it was Hellenized Jews that were causing the most destruction to Torah observance by going along with it. Remarks about Hellenized Jews, almost like it was a joke. You're saying to somebody, that cares where that came from. Whoa. Well, good. I mean, not good, but it had to be done, man. I never. They don't tell you that part. That's not a real widely known thing, Gav.
No, it isn't. And people get so distracted with the oil thing. Yay, the oil lasted for 8 days. Yay. No, okay, no, you're missing the point.
So maybe that's why God gave us a miracle. Celebrating. Or giving us means to.
Yeah. Well, the rallying cry in the book of Maccabees is not, hey, everybody, let's go kill these Syrian Greeks. It's, everybody follow me who is zealous for the law. What he's doing is he's making a distinction between himself and Jews who gave up Torah observance to become Greeks.
Another word for that could be apostate.
Yes.
Is this commonly known in Torah observant?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's even far more personal than it could possibly.
But they don't teach it in America. And outside of the Orthodox community, they don't teach this stuff. They don't teach this stuff to I mean, it's not nice to say, but who are the Hellenized Jews today, if not the Reform movement? You don't want to offend these people, so no one tells them, hey, this Hanukkah stuff, This is about fighting and killing Jews like you who go astray and force others to do so. It's not nice, but it's true.
Not to stir anything up, but in the past, I have considered or wondered if, for just through verbal gymnastics, in some way, shape, or form, were the 12 apostles really 12 apostates?
I think they boldly admitted, because in the Book of Common Prayer, I'm pretty sure they say this in the Catholic Church too, but themselves, or they refer to the support of the Holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. That's from their book. That's from their every Sunday. And the Catholic
Right,
is lowercase. See, it's a lowercase, but the Holy Catholic and Apostolic. Could be, Ross. Apostate wasn't a good thing when I realized what it meant, and then okay, I know what the word apostate means, and I remember, like, whoa.
I think it's a different word.
It is a different word. Apostle and apostate are not even related.
No, that's what I was saying. Through some type of verbal gymnastics. I didn't mean to make that there was a direct connection.
Is apostolic toward apostle or apostate? I thought that I always thought it was apostate.
I don't know. Yeah.
The apostolic church means apostle. It's not talking about apostasy.
Okay, sorry, church. Sorry, Father. Apostate. Is reform really that bad? People that I would know more Judaism than they do.
I guarantee. No. Don't joke. That is not a joke. I guarantee you right now, you do know more Judaism than most of them do, easily. It's a very low bar to cross.
That's not funny, but I can't help it. I could be a rabbi. Oh, and I would have cried thinking about it. That's sad, y'all. Okay.
Again, some very nice people in the reform, but I despise the movement. It's very destructive.
Considering this is, I was just back when I was at the virtual yeshiva taking classes, and we just moved to Oklahoma City. And there's this campus, basically. And I've seen pictures, beautiful sanctuary, or what would be called, where the ark and the, I guess there'd be an ark and a Torah scroll there. No, it was like a campus, and it was huge. And I was like, street. Of course, I'm 5 miles up, 6 miles up the road. Like, wow. And Rabbi's like, you don't want to go back to Christianity, do you? And I said, no. He says, then you don't want to go there. The house is even finished.
There's a rabbi in New York who's a convert. He was not born Jewish, and I actually share a first name with him. His name is Gabriel Aryeh Sanders. He used to have a radio show, not unlike yourself. He's originally from Southern California, but he originally converted to the Reform movement, and then he converted later on to Orthodoxy. And he said, why did you leave the Reform movement? He said, well, if you think of Judaism as a house, I was living on the porch.
Wow. Yeah, the one in Dallas had an organ, a big old tall pipe organ. I about wet myself when I saw that. I was an organ, a big pipe organ, is the centerpiece of a synagogue before.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was a Christian thing. Not that I don't like an organ. Don't get me wrong. I do love an organ. 3 organ. I just didn't expect to find it in a synagogue. Very surprised at that. Okay, well, we are at, I haven't studied as much. In fact, I'm not sure the past 3 years. You can look online. We've got them all up here. A Parsha study during Hanukkah. We're always talking Hanukkah stuff. There is a Torah portion. It's Miketz, or is it Miketz? Miketz? Genesis 41. And goes through, hang on, Genesis 41. I don't have this marked. Parsha. 41 to 44. 44:18. And we stop at verse 17. And we'll do a Hanukkah Haftorah reading later. Can we call Pharaoh a prophet? Or is Joseph speaking figuratively? Hang on. Joseph replied to Pharaoh, saying, to the wisdom to interpret dreams is not from me. God will put that answer, Pharaoh, into my mouth. Hang on. Because I'm always getting parentheses. I want to cross-reference this little bad boy here. Hang on a minute. Joseph answered to Pharaoh, it is beyond me. It is God who will respond with Pharaoh's welfare. Maybe that's not the quote I'm thinking of. Hang on. Something, it was about, the point I'm making is about dreams. It was an argument I had a few months back, that a 60th of every dream, which I know is a sliver, but a 60th of every dream, or that a dream, a 60th of prophecy in it. So, not trying to pump Pharaoh into the level of Ezekiel or Isaiah or God forbid Moshe or anything, but is Pharaoh a prophet? Or is it because he doesn't speak back? Talking to him for good reason. He has to save the world through Egypt, but can we see Pharaoh of Egypt, of all places, receiving a dream from God that was so much that he liked him? Could we say God was speaking directly to Pharaoh? Or was he carrying a message for Joseph? I would have thought that a 60th of every dream is, or that was universal because of Pharaoh. Is that an inaccurate statement for me to say? I'm saying if Pharaoh can get it.
Is the idea that the 60th of the dream is prophecy, or prophecy? That prophecy is, I'm sorry, a dream is 1/60th the level of prophecy.
Something like that, yeah.
It's 1/60th of the way up a step towards the level of prophecy. So there's some measure of prophecy found within dreams.
Right. So can we give Pharaoh this, that God was speaking to him?
Absolutely. In the same way that he gave Nebuchadnezzar a dream. And it brought Daniel into the matter. I believe there was an instance too when Abimelech was on his way to meet with Abraham, and if I understand the way it's written correctly, Abimelech heard a voice say to him, "See that you speak to him neither good nor bad."
I don't know. That's like hope. Hope for non-Jewish folks, in my opinion. We've been heavy on the dreams lately, haven't we? Yeah. We've had Joseph. Some call it a dream. Some say it was a vision. He rose the next day when the sun came up, or, this is indeed where God speaks to me. And his son interprets those dreams.
Yeah, Joseph had a couple of dreams. Pharaoh had a couple of dreams. Nebuchadnezzar had dreams. Daniel had dreams. To me, that's just the way I look at it and see all of these people that are involved with dreams at different stages. To me, the bigger picture says that Hashem's got a plan. He's working it out.
Insight. Even some would become some of the, Nebuchadnezzar became an ugly guy. And it's not like God doesn't try to speak to us.
Yeah, his pride became his downfall. He had gotten to the point, excuse me, where he said, "Wow, everything that's here is done by me. I'm responsible for it. I got it all. I created it all. I built it all." And Hashem said, "Oh yeah, let me show you what I can do."
Now, we don't call Joseph a prophet, if I'm mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, I was looking through here, but I can't find once where.
The commentators refer to Joseph as a son of the elders. And I think if you read through the commentaries, it refers to the elders as being Shem and Eber.
A very well-versed, well-read lad. You know, this also kind of talks about the Jewish people a bit, if I may make so bold. The greatest conditions, save maybe the States, in the past 2,000 years, right? Okay, all right. Living in amongst a hostile and you always hear about Jews rising to the level of like physician and mathematicians, scientists, poets, and they you know, even in the worst conditions, they rise above it and save the world. Imagine what people who aren't that oppressed could do. The Jewish people are, you know, I don't want to say held down. They're kind of held down a bit in bondage in Europe. They could rise above it. And then now that there's a lot more freedom for the Jewish people, they're butt in science. Big time. I remember Gav, you're saying that the Jewish people have kind of been at the forefront of more libertarian or liberal causes, if I put it in that particular phrase. Great social change. Joseph, that's a perfect example. The dude was a slave. He was brought in with all the other slaves.
No, Joseph was not. The interesting part of this is, did you go back and read when he was sold? The two groups that were arguing or kind of contending as to who would actually. You remember those two groups? Well, descendants of two different people.
It was
arguing what?
By Joseph to take him into Egypt.
Well, one of them was the caravan, the other one was the actual merchants, right? Or something to that effect.
There were Ishmaelites and there were Midianites.
Midianites. I was flipping pages trying to find it.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was actually the Midianites that were responsible for taking him into Egypt.
37 verse 36. The Midianites sold Joseph into Egypt. First officer, chief of the butchers.
And then we go through the period of enslavement. Then there's the Exodus. And then we have a Midianite show up later. Remember his name?
Yisro. Yeah, there are Midianites and Ishmaelites that sold him. Lowest of the low, even went to prison. And just by being a good human being, you know, and sticking with God, he saved the world.
He was
The world
falsely accused of sexual harassment.
Oh, Yeah, we had a football player kid down here accused of something along those lines, and prosecution came out today and said we're not going to press charges. He's wrongly accused. Yeah, that's not part of the. I don't know if we actually brought that part up of the Parsha a while back. Isn't it? No, that was before. No, that was last week's Parsha. I'm not stupid. Okay, yeah. About sexual harassment. Like a woman scorned. Truth.
Yeah, I'm looking at this and some of the events that are going on today and kind of halfway speculating, just halfway, are some of these accusers not actually recipients of harassment, but recipients of scorn.
Well, it's very difficult because we don't have a history in our country of taking these things seriously when they come up. And we don't have a system set up for women to deal with it in a timely manner. Therefore, these things fester, and it's impossible to make sense of them decades later. So we're in a very difficult situation right now where you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. And hopefully what will come out of this is there will be systems put in place that are real that will allow people to take care of these issues in a timely manner.
Hope so. Yeah, it's never been brought up.
Well, a lot of these cases wind up being one person's word against another. And that's always a difficult situation, but from my understanding that if you're going to bring an accusation against someone, there should at least be one other witness. And I know a lot of these events would probably occur in a situation where it's just those two individuals and it's very private. So that you're right, Bob. It does make it very difficult.
Well, we can look at the normal practice of the person to tell us something. You know, we know that the guy, the one senator that was getting the goofy pictures, the guy's a goofball, and so he's acting like a goofball. So when the stuff comes out that he's acting like a goofball, people believe it because that's what he is. There are times when it's like totally out of character for a person, and then people are left wondering about, well, maybe, who knows? Well, normally we can tell a person's normal character comes out over time. And that's what we have to judge things by. We can't just go based upon what someone says, but we look at the person's character, which is what we should be looking at anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't remember the guy's name, but the movie mogul guy, whatever his name was.
Harvey Weinstein.
Okay, yeah, I mean, this guy's got, 20, 30 people coming up from all over the world. It's hard to ignore something like that. Okay, I mean, every one of these individuals seem to have at some point had an encounter in their life with him. But then you turn around, like you say, 30, 40 years go by, somebody jumps up out of the swamp somewhere and makes an accusation. Well, why? Why?
Mm-hmm.
At this point, there has to be an ulterior motive, you know?
Oh, yeah. I want to raise our daughters to be better than this. My mom was a tomboy when she was younger, and she will break your nose. Not that I've ever seen her do it, but I can't imagine anybody getting away with some of that stuff. And and I'm not taking the manly man's side. Well, she had a cum and she was wearing a short skirt. Not one of those kind of guys. But I would hope that, because I got 2 girls of my own I'm raising here, I would hope they would never be put, if they were ever put in that position, that they would fight, that they would proudly fight with like no ands, ifs, or buts about it. Yeah, if you're saying that your wife doesn't take that either.
No, my wife's father, my father-in-law, I think it was for her 15th birthday. He signed her up for karate lessons, like an all-girls karate class or whatever. And I remember, this is back when we lived in Cleveland, obviously, but she remembers that she was out, I don't remember exactly where she was, but this was long before I met her, much less married her. But she said some boy grabbed her butt at the mall, so she turned around and she punched him as hard as she could right in the face, and it knocked him. And there was blood everywhere. It knocked him back on, on his back and everything. And she never had a problem.
See? Yeah. Yeah, don't fall into the notion that you're weak and fragile, you dear, sweet, fragile little thing. No. Y'all give birth. You got strength. Trust me. I've seen it. Yeah, punch him right in the nose. Don't take that. And it's like, well, I wanted to get in the business. Oh, I was scared. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've actually been sexually abused before. I've been assaulted as well. So I've been there. I understand. But when you're a grown woman over the age of 18, 21 even, and you take that and you go along with it, and you go along with it for years and years and years, or you're silent, and then suddenly you come out and say something, I have to wonder. I have to wonder if you put yourself in that position with Weinstein. I wanted to get in the business. I didn't know what else to do. Okay, so you're a whore. It's America. Every woman's a lesbian in college anymore. Just admit it. Don't point the finger at him because he paid you what you wanted from him. You can't get mad at him if you're just going to take it every single freaking time. For months on end on a picture, for that matter, or years on end if you're in a contract, for that matter, with the movie company. I guess that maybe they're pretty predatory. They're not gonna. Maybe they want you scared, but I think it happens outside of Hollywood. And it's going public with it. All these women came forward. Did they go to court? If they didn't go to court, I don't believe them. When you bring somebody to court, when you bring something to the police, yeah, then I can take you seriously. I'm more apt. Yeah, women should. We need to send them all to Texas and have them talk to Texas women. Do any women ever get sexually assaulted in Texas anymore? Anybody except the guy fresh over the border who wouldn't know better. I can't imagine a woman. I don't know any woman. I was thinking about this the other day. I don't know any girl I grew up with in my adolescence and my youth who would stand for 1 second of that. They pinch her ass. They won't have a hand to use later. Independent. They don't take that crap. That's how we need to raise our women. I think we need to raise our women better than you don't take it from a man or you don't take it from anybody.
A lot of girls would tell the guys, if they even thought about something like that, that they would make the statement, my dad's got a pair of hedge clippers that'll fix that for you.
I just got to put the, you can put the blame on men for those who do it, but, as dads now, teach them to be respected at all times. I wind up saying yes, ma'am, to my 5-year-old. What's happened to me?
Oh,
that was so cool.
That's really cool. When my kids were growing up, I would say yes, sir, to my son, and yes, ma'am, to my daughter, trying to instill with them respect. I'll treat you with respect. I hope that you'll treat me back with respect. But they understood when we were having good conversations, I would, yes, ma'am, yes, sir. If they ever got out of line, it was, come here, boy.
Yeah, that's cool. Good. Okay. Yeah, because yeah. Yeah, the Western look at women isn't always progressive, but you want to find strong, straight up women, go to Texas. I can say that for a fact. I just say probably out west you're going to find a lot more women who are still women and don't take nothing. There's none of that. I think the whole settling of the West pretty much killed the gender issues. You can gripe about a man's place and a woman's place, but when these people, especially with the land run, when they lined up all the people and everybody has stopwatch and you shoot their guns and all the wagon trains that people loaded up, went Hail Mary on the West and they divided up in nice squares. Look at the way the whole Midwest is shaped. And everybody had a square and there's a stake in it. You pulled your stake and made your claim. Stake your claim. Get it? So, I mean, these people settled. They had nothing. They had a wagon and some of them have kids. This was, the woman took care of the house and the men went out and built the house. The man, there was a defined, no one was, you had 2 people and a couple of kids. How are you going to make this work? She doesn't stay in the home because she's a lesser, dear, sweet, fragile little thing. She's in the house because he's busy making food and shelter. And she makes food and shelter too, but just how it worked here. And women chopped wood and women plowed fields. It wasn't like, come out west. If you're having problems, I don't know. It's up to us fathers. I think it's up to the fathers to quell that, and not to teach a boy not to be a jerk. You can tell your son not to be a bully. It doesn't matter. Sometimes he was going to be a bully. Mine was when he was like 8. He had bullish tendencies. But teach your girls, man. You don't got to take that. They are. I don't want to put women on a pedestal, but I think in the Western world, it might be healthy to put a woman, your woman, or women on a pedestal. There might be just a little step up. It might be worth that here. From what I gather, a Jewish household is different than the Western Christian household. The way that marriage works in Judaism is not the same in the West, where there's romance and there's love and that's, I'm not saying there's no love and romance in Judaism.
There's love and romance. It doesn't come first, though.
Yeah. That comes, yes, that's natural. Wife was talking to me, sorry. It's a whole different approach. Oh man, all the love, and the more I think about, more I'm into Torah, and then the more I look at Western world and movies and stuff, and the whole thing of love and marriage and a couple and living together, and Good grief. You could simplify it with a Torah in your hand, you know, and in your head. No, we don't want to spoil our girls either, where they can just go out and make an accusation and try to ruin a kid's life and career, maybe. You know, when the evidence says that you liked the guy and when he didn't want nothing to do with you, once he sobered up, and then you try to get him kicked off the team, and it becomes another voice in a wash of all these accusations coming out. I don't know. I do know that we are sexually unhealthy on that end, but that's not in tonight's topic, really. We've gotten past the sexually unhealthy bit with Potiphar's wife. We're saving you. Go ahead.
Kind of notice a neat little something. This just came to my attention in this parsha. You recall when Joseph had left Laban's house, Laban chased after them, caught up to them, and he was upset because someone had taken his household idols. And he said, "Go ahead, search." And the person in whose possession that you find them will die. Shall die. We know from the story that them and the commentators go on to say that because Jacob had said that, when they were on the road and they got to Bethlehem, she died, giving childbirth to Benjamin. You recall this, right? She was buried in Bethlehem, right? In this week's Parsha, chapter 43, I believe it, yeah. I'm trying to find it exactly. Okay, yeah. Chapter 44, verse 6. If you have it handy, read this. See if you catch what I caught. Are you reading it? 44:6? I wanted you to read it. Unmute yourself. You sound a lot better unmuted.
Yeah, I was like 44:6. Huh?
Yeah.
Wait. Yeah. Okay. The supervisor overtook them and he said these words to them. They said to him, "Why should my master say such words of these? For it be from your servants to do a thing like this. Look, if we can even return to you the money we found on top of our sacks, all the way from the land of Canaan. How could we possibly steal silver and gold from your master's house? Whichever one of your servants is found to have the goblet shall die, and also slaves to my master, if it is found."
Here you go. What did you just catch? Anyone among your servants with whom it is found, what?
Shall be slaves to my master.
No, back up.
Why should my master say such
Are you
words?
referring to the goblet?
Yeah, the goblet's part of the deal, but there's a particular phrase here. Go ahead, read it.
I want to read it one more time. Why should my master say such words as these? Far be it from your servants to do a thing like this. Look, if we even return to you the money we found on the top of our sacks, all the way from the land of Canaan, how could we possibly steal silver and gold from your master's house? Servants is found to have the goblet shall die, and also we will be slaves to my master if it is found. Oh, we will be slaves to our master.
Right.
To my master.
But the one you find it with shall die.
Right.
Ah.
In this case, does
Benjamin.
Benjamin die?
What?
Did Benjamin die as a result of it?
No, he did not actually die, but the correlation is the goblet is an object of divination. Okay? And it was found in his saddle. Right? When Laban showed up to go and look for his idols, where were they hiding? In a camel's saddle, and she was sitting on it. Idols hiding in a saddle. And now here's Joseph's goblet in a saddle. And when he came to Rachel, she said, I can't get up, right? But the decree had already been made, whomever you find it with shall die. Later on, as you get further into Tanakh, you find that all of the tribes of Israel go to war against the tribe of Benjamin because of an event that happened with the concubine of a Levite. Yeah, I'm sure you know this story.
Yeah, but how does that correlate?
Okay. Idols, idolatry, cup of divination, idolatry. All right? Same thing. Rachel's sitting on a saddle. They find it in Benjamin's saddle. The words were spoken at the time of Rachel. Whomever you find it with shall die. That statement is made again here. Whomever you find it with shall die. Who was Benjamin's mother?
Rachel. Wow.
There's a correlation here. There's a link. There's a tie. I'm just seeing this.
Yes,
what to make out of it, where to go with it, I don't know. But I just came across it. It just was given to me this time around. I don't know how many times I read it, and it just now said something. You know?
Would Joseph have known that story? Was he making a statement?
This
Story about his mother is what I was wondering.
That statement came from his brothers, not him, not Joseph. They're the ones that said, whomever you find it with. Whether they knew the story or not, I don't know.
Huh. Okay. I got confused. Possibly.
just something that came up. I mean, if you want to look into it deeper, it's there. But in another way too, the other part of that somewhat seems to be prophetic also. And we also will become slaves. And then earlier in the Parsha, Joseph accused them of being spies. So you do have this period of slavery. You do have them coming out. You do have the spy situation. Initially, there were 10 brothers that went into Egypt to buy food. There's little sprinkles of hints all through here. Later, it was 10 spies that went in. The only 2 that came back with a good report were descendants of Judah and Joseph. Judah and Joseph were the 2 that went in to set up the yeshiva before Joseph arrived. You're starting to see the little backstory going on here?
Yep. The dissension into slavery. They sold a brother in and they all followed. I always bring up this Kabbalistic story I heard that a metaphor for the soul entering into the real world, growing up, running the toils of the field, working the plow. There was and getting into routine and getting into the workforce, entering into the real world kind of a thing, real world, and that this should be taken as a metaphor for the soul descending into that aspect of, reality, growing up. And then what it takes to get out of it comes later on. But it's like everybody, yeah. Would we consider that a vow? A vow? We shall be slaves to your master if you find it.
Now?
Could we consider, who said that to Joseph? 44:6. So that came from all the brothers.
Right.
Yeah, they're placing it upon themselves as a vow. It sounds like. If I understand, vows and oaths, I always get confused by, but
right.
That sounds correct.
Would that have any bearing on why Joseph and everybody came into Egypt? Did this have an impact with that, do you think?
Well, on one hand, could you say that this declaration of we also will become slaves to my Lord, well, as far as they're concerned, he is Pharaoh. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So is this in some way, because it could be seen as a vow, whether inadvertent or what, but it actually came to be. So what's cool, or insightful is Menashe. It doesn't tell you that this is Menashe that is interrogating, okay, these brothers. And his response to them was, what you say now is also correct. Okay. The one with whom it is found shall be my slave, but the rest of you shall be exonerated. So I'm not sure how that or where that plays. I'll have to think into that more. But like I said, all of this is just coming up or coming out this time. But I noticed too that they had just finished a meal there, right? Well, the commentary says that the Egyptians were loath to eat with the Hebrews. Well, apparently what was loathsome was the Egyptians did not consume meat, but the Hebrews did, which is why Joseph had them prepare meat for the Hebrews, because from what I understand, the Egyptians worshipped all these animals, especially the sheep or the lamb. You're muted.
How is Potiphar a butcher?
Was he?
Yeah. I thought that's what it said. Yeah. Where do I see that?
Yeah, that is a confusing one. I read somewhere that they said that he took care of the animals, but he didn't actually kill them. You know, he was more of a herdsman or something.
37, 36. The Midianites sold Joseph in Egypt to Potiphar, Pharaoh's officer, chief of the butchers.
Interesting.
There's not as the commentary is a bit different. The flow is different. The content's a bit different in the stone. So I'm going to go here in the Gutnick. I'm going to look at the stone and see if I can find something. So it's okay. Nothing. Nothing.
Bob, where did you get your reference?
I'm sorry, where was this? I read it somewhere. Where was this again?
Genesis 37, 36. In the Stone Edition, it said Chamberlain of the Butchers. The Hertz. Potiphar, the name means gift of Ra. Oh, according to the Hertz edition, Sonsino, officer, Hebrew, word came to have the general significance of court official. Pharaoh, the title of the Egyptian sovereign, captain of the guard, here in the Sonsino, or chief of the executioners. Oh, they did that.
I'm seeing here that might be Onkelos who talks about it being the chief of, the executioners. Rashi says it's the slaughterers of the king's animals.
Well, that left the water nice and muddy on that one. Yeah. Well, Rashi says animals. Everybody goes to Rashi. You said it was Tosafot? No, Onkelos. That's true. The reason why was because of the meat, and they herded their gods. They herded and ate their gods. That's what Hebrews do. Got sheep and lambs, probably yard birds.
Okay, Radak is saying that that the term could be either the slaughterer can either be to animals or people. The latter being the probable interpretation, according to Radak, that it might be people.
Okay, so that kind of plays in on one level, okay? Where Joseph interprets the dreams, and the baker, the chief baker, was the one who had his head lopped off. So if you got an executioner, that would have been Potiphar.
Huh.
And it's amazing. The executioner's wife was the one that accused him, Joseph, of sexual harassment. And he doesn't wind up executed, but he winds up in prison.
Man had somewhat of a conscience, it seems. The word I'm looking at here, Drew, let's see, Hama, behind, shoot. There I go again.
37.
37, 36. Hey mem, bet, ket, yud mem.
Huh?
That's the word I'm looking at here. The chief of the butchers. Word. If we find the word, the actual word. It's sure. Chamid. Chamilachin? Chamab. Ba. Machaba. Machaba. Children learning a language. It's Bechom. Butchers. Yeah, why would guys who slaughter animals and eat sheep make Egyptians sick? Why would he have to call on meat? An empire that raises animals above themselves. What was it? There's something in Germany about that. There was wasn't it like chic in Germany in World War II, and maybe even France, for the dog to sit at the table with you. You know, I forgot who it was. It was a quote from Nazi Germany. It showed a man showing over affection for a dog, and they said that when man begins to bring an animal up to the level of men, he will drag man down to the level of an animal. Something like that.
Yeah, well, it's just curious the way it's worded. It told him to go out, slaughter meat, and serve it to the Hebrews. And the Egyptians would not eat with the Hebrews because they found them loathsome. Well, you have to ask yourself, what makes them loathsome? Because they eat meat?
Passover, they ate their gods.
That hasn't happened yet.
I know, but you know,
To me, the term Hebrews is the key, because that connotes that they are not involved in idolatry. And the goblet, the divination, that's a key to the Egyptian side of things. Divination, idolatry, idol worship, animal, whatever, placing animals in the position of being revered to some degree.
is it because they were just common folk, maybe? And this is royal Egyptian, clean, smooth marble floors, you know.
No. Because a lot of Egyptians didn't live at that level. I mean, if you're an Egyptian farmer and you're out farming, how palatial is your house going to be, right? You've got, a lot of their animals may or may not have had barns to go into because they were killed during the plague. But at this point, there's distinctions being made because Sinai hasn't happened yet.
Right.
Okay. Because of that fact, I would have to think that until Sinai comes into play, everybody's on the same ground here with 7. And I don't know.
Well, the Egyptians, if they were vegetarian, they could not be, unless you have an abuser, an animal abuser, could not be guilty of ever min hahai. They couldn't be guilty of, if they're vegetarian. Maybe that's the reason why, even Abraham goes in and settles there and dwells among them. God saw, I'm sure that God could have found any miracle to happen anywhere to save the world, but he did choose Egypt. Egypt we're not allowed to scorn the Egyptian, are we? Or the Jews aren't. Israel, if we're amongst them, we can't, we have to treat the Egyptian favorably. Wouldn't that be interesting? A positive thing. Ooh.
Well, again, too, back up 1/2 step. The Hebrews are eating meat, right?
Right.
Joseph is serving this, right?
Right.
What was the 7th law given to Noah?
Not to tear the limb of a living animal.
Or to consume the blood with it. Right?
Not to consume the meat with the blood, yeah.
Right.
Which can be understood in different ways.
Right. So if meat is the issue here, I'm not going to say that it was kosher, non-kosher, with or without blood. It's just the fact that meat is here. They're eating meat. That was the 7th law given to Noah. But you have Egyptians that appear to be in a position that are not eating meat.
Was he teaching them the proper way?
Who teaching who?
Would Joseph Would he order non-kosher meat to be, would he order the Egyptians to do it wrongly? I mean, they wouldn't. I'm thinking if these people are a vegetarian society, they wouldn't know how to properly slaughter.
That is potentially the case.
So would Joseph have shown them, or?
There's a lot of room for speculation here. There's not enough detail in it.
Okay.
I would just say the simple fact is that he was ordered to prepare meat for the Hebrews, and they had no problem eating it. But for whatever reason, the Egyptians found the Hebrews loathsome. Now, again, is it because they don't believe in divination? Is it because they don't believe in idols? Is it because they will eat meat? A lot of room for maneuvering here. I'm not making any calls. It's just that these things are mentioned and placed, how shall I say, made obvious or revealed for some reason. They have to mean something. These details of the story mean something. It wouldn't be there otherwise. I'm trying to tie a lot of things together. Do you know what it's talking about here? It keeps mentioning Joseph, Joseph, Joseph. We know that this is Joseph. When the brothers are having a discussion with this person named Joseph, they're not having a discussion with Joseph. Do you remember what Pharaoh gave him the name?
Papanea. God
Right.
God speaks to him.
The one who reveals that which was hidden.
Okay.
So if anybody's going to address him, they're going to address him by that name, not Joseph. They don't know it's their brother. We know it, but they don't.
Yeah, the reader's told over and over. Yeah, he's not referred to.
If at any point along the way he'd have said, I'm Joseph, which he does later, but this whole time they're dealing with him, they're not calling him Joseph. That would have been a giveaway right out of the gate.
And I want to say this real quick. The rabbis really knew how to leave you on a cliffhanger. I think it was probably the Jews who invented the cliffhanger, right? Because we're getting down to the wire here. We're putting people in prison and go make peace with your father before you never see him again. And what's coming up next week? You have to turn the page.
Tune in next week for the next episode or whatever.
Yeah, you can see the whole dynasty, montage of clips from next week and how it looks, and it really fits in with a soap opera in a lot of ways. Yeah, Yosef.
Yeah, all through here, you keep reading Joseph. You know the story. You know who's who here. So did you ever ask yourself the obvious question? How do they spend this much time dealing with their brother named Joseph and they don't know that that's Joseph?
But the reader is reminded over and over and over.
Right. It's revealed to you, but it's concealed from them. The one who reveals that which was concealed.
He was good at.
And what does he do? He was good at what?
No, he was doing that with his brothers too. Remember, his brothers, would womanize or would go party or whatever, and he knew, and he'd go tell dad.
But we find out next week what happens. What does Joseph do next week?
Tune into the Nilvah Nexus, and you'll know. Or you could just pick up a Chumash. 1492, page 1492. That's a nice, significant American number. Not the happiest to some Americans, but to others, it's great. I figure we got a few minutes left here, so we would do a quick Haftorah.
Yeah.
Read through. This is when I say 1492. That's in the Gutnick. Some call it the Chabad Bible. I just lost my place. Popular amongst the Chabad.
If anybody's in the Stone edition, it's page 1143.
I'm exploring this now. I'm expanding my palette of study Bibles. Okay. Rather brief one. It is it's a Hanukkah for Shabbos. Zechariah. Ooh, we do love Zechariah, don't we? I love them all. I love Torah. I love Judaism. I love doing this. It's the highlight, my week. Zechariah 2:14 through 4:7.
For me, kids?
That can't be right. That can't be right.
That's not right.
Isaiah?
First Kings.
Well, it's the holidays, right? So we got the Kitze, but then we're looking at you said Shabbos.
There's Hanukkah second Shabbos and Hanukkah first Shabbos. I figure we would be first Shabbos.
That makes sense. I guess second Shabbos is if I suppose that would be if it begins on Shabbos. Then the 8th day would also be a Shabbos.
Quick question: on Shabbat, you like the Hanukkah menorah first?
What? The Jew will write.
On Shabbat,
the Jew will write. Will do that first. Yes.
We don't. That's not the apply. But yeah, right. Israel.
Yeah, because once they light that Shabbos candle, that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're on
I don't even know.
12:10 in the stone, I think.
Is it Isaiah 66?
I'm looking at Zechariah. Where are you? Isaiah.
Why is there so much arguing in Judaism?
Well,
I can show you the picture.
Shabbos Rosh Chodesh. Oh man, this is too complicated. Hold on. Let me check my. Now Rosh Chodesh is on Tuesday, I think. So this is the first half, I think. Oh man, this is. I just show up in Seoul and I assume the rabbis are at the right spot. Yeah, I think we're at Zechariah. Zechariah 2:14 to 4:7, I think. I don't know.
That's what I have here, but that's not what's written down below.
What?
So I'm going to get it. No kidding. Okay. Haftorah for me kids doesn't even mention Chabad or mention Hanukkah, and that's First Kings. Here in the first Shabbos in the Gutnick edition, you'll see Zechariah up here in English, but you go down a little farther, and it starts with Verse 66, this is what God said. The heaven is my throne and the earth is my footstool. Not, I don't even know what that was. I guess we're in day 3, so it'd be this is way too complicated. Okay, Zechariah. Let's you know what? I'm gonna use my plain language. Nearly going, which is really it's a good this bad boy, because now I have to think left to right. I'm turning pages the other way. You say it was Zechariah. We're gonna do that because I like Zechariah. And because I guess that's what we're supposed to do. What was the chapter again, sir?
Chapter 2, starting in verse 14. Going to 4:7.
4:7. All right. Let's do it. In it flocks shall lie down, every species of beast, while jackdaws and owls roost on its capitals. The great owl hoots in the window, and the raven croaks on the threshold, for he has stripped its cedarwork bare. I'm in Zephaniah, that's not Zechariah.
I was going to ask.
If anybody wants to take over.
Where are you?
We're all happy letting you do this, James.
Zechariah, here we go. Found you. Zechariah 14, 2:14. Here we go. Shout for joy. Is that better? All right. Shout for joy, fair Zion, for lo, I come and I will dwell in your midst, declares the Lord. In that day, many nations will attach themselves to the Lord and become his people, and he will dwell in your midst. And you will know that I was sent to you by the Lord of hosts. The Lord will take Judah to himself as his portion in the Holy Land, and he will choose Jerusalem once more. Be silent, all flesh, before the Lord, for he is roused from his holy habitation. He further showed me Joshua, the high priest, standing before the angel of the Lord and the accuser, standing at his right to accuse him. But the angel of the Lord said to the accuser, the Lord rebuke you, O accuser. May the Lord who has chosen Jerusalem rebuke you. For this is a brand plucked from the fire. Now Joshua was cloaked in filthy garments when he stood before the angel. The latter spoke up and said to his attendants, take the filthy garments off him. And he said to him, see, I have removed your guilt from you, and you shall be clothed in priestly robes. Then he gave the order, let the pure diadem be placed on his head. And they placed the pure diadem on his head and clothed him in priestly garments. And the angel of the Lord stood by. And the angel of the Lord charged Joshua as follows. Thus said the Lord of hosts, if you walk in my paths and keep my charge, you in turn will rule my house and guard my courts, and I will permit you to move about among these attendants. Hearken well, O priest Joshua, you and your fellow priests sitting before you. For those men are a sign that I am going to bring my servant, the branch. For the mark well, this stone which I placed before Joshua, a single stone with 7 eyes, I will execute its engraving, declares the Lord of hosts, and I will remove that country's guilt in a single day. In that day, declares the Lord of hosts, you will be inviting each other to the shade of vines and fig trees. Walked with me, came back, and woke me as a man is wakened from sleep. He said to me, what do you see? And I answered, I see a lampstand of all gold with a bowl above it. The lamps on it are 7 in number, and the lamps above it have 7 pipes, and by it are 2 olive trees, one on the right of the bowl and one on its left. I in turn asked the angel who talked with me, what do these things mean, my Lord? Do you not know what those things mean? Asked the angel who talked with me. And I said, no, my Lord. And he explained to me as follows. I don't know where I'm supposed to stop, but I want to keep going with this. This is the word of the Lord of Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel. Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, said the Lord of hosts. Whoever you are, O great mountain in the path of Zerubbabel, turned into level ground, for he shall produce an excellent stone. It shall be greeted with shouts of beautiful, beautiful.
Yes.
This is our Torah portion for the day, or our half Torah for the day.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, 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 yes.
I've always loved that portion. Oh,
Means everything. That's us. We're in
this
there.
back to what?
I was like, that's us. We're in there. We're the, we know God.
Man,
Go to the Jews. Hey, you guys are onto something, man. Did you know that? You guys are on it.
many nations shall join themselves to the Lord in that day, and shall be my people. That's repeated over and over in several of the prophecies. To those that were not my people, I shall say, you are my people.
The Holy Land, I like it. This is very timely as well, isn't it, in world events?
Sure.
The Lord will take Judah to himself as his portion in the Holy Land, and he will choose Jerusalem once more. Boom.
You mean that same Jerusalem that Trump said is capital of Israel?
Oh, no. This is a mythical thing on stained glass. These are real people. This isn't a real. It was Charlton Heston was in a movie once.
Oh.
All right, I think that's a great note to end the live portion. If you're watching, and we've had a few viewers tonight, so thank you for tuning in. The Nilvah Nexus Facebook page, the Nilvah Nexus page on Google Plus gets you the links to get in the conversation and join in. On behalf of Bob, Ross, Gav, and myself, Shabbat Shalom, Happy Hanukkah, y'all.